Veteran astronaut Scott Kelly is once again verbally attacking his international enemy, Russia, despite earlier requests from the entirety of NASA to please stop picking a fight with the country. He seems to be criticizing Russian President Vladimir Putin, this time for allegedly annexing several Ukrainian territories, and as one might expect from an astronaut, he roasted Putin with the hilarious space pun. Keep watching for the latest news. Starting off with, he's a funny guy. The famous astronaut tweeted on Friday that he's annexing Mount Olympus on Mars on his behalf. He then casually added that he was kidding. The largest known volcano in our solar system, Mount Olympus on Mars, is obviously not up for annexation by Kelly, but that was exactly his point, as we probably don't need to clarify it for you. Ukraine and pretty much the entire Western world have deemed Putin's annexation, as he triumphantly declared in a big display at the Kremlin, unacceptable and illegal. As a result, tougher penalties against Russia have already been announced by the US, Canada, and the UK. It's important to note that Kelly has already discussed his views on Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. Additionally, he asserted that several Russian cosmonauts, many of whom he considers to be personal friends and colleagues as well as other current and former NASA astronauts, have been indoctrinated into backing Russia's unjustified strike. He then engaged in a Twitter argument over the conflict with none other than Dmitry Rogozin, who was in charge of Roscosmos at the time back in March. He also made an intriguing decision to sell NFTs to aid the Ukrainian defense effort, which didn't really work out as everyone expected. Next up, NASA warns Scott Kelly. NASA, which is required to cooperate with Russia even when there is hostility, hasn't always liked Kelly's outspokenness. The American Space Agency reportedly issued what was essentially a cease and desist statement shortly after the former astronaut's Twitter beef with Rogozin. NASA and Roscosmos tensions were escalating and Kelly was feeling the flames. But even if the astronaut complied for a few weeks, it didn't take long for him to resume his openly hostile speech toward Russia. And now it appears that the former space traveler may indeed escape NASA's wrath and fury. Kelly could believe he was safe as Roscosmos worsened their relations with the space agency themselves after they started using the ISS's war propaganda. Moving on, this isn't the first time Scott Kelly has raised his voice. So, as you must have gathered, Kelly has been through this before. But hey, we appreciate the man for his determination. NASA astronaut Scott Kelly claimed that he backed off from his bitter dispute with Dmitry Rogozin after receiving an email from the space organization warning him and other former astronauts that the dispute was damaging to operations on the International Space Station, ISS. The email, which CNN obtained and aired, shows NASA directly criticizing Kelly's childish feud with the Russian Space Agency and ordering him to stop doing so. The entire thing kind of reminded us of how teachers punish naughty kids fighting on a playground. Exact same energy. The email stated that everyone was free to share their mind because being citizens of the United States, that freedom is given to them. However, as a former NASA astronaut, he had to understand that his remarks had more weight and that his criticism of NASA's Russian allies could deeply harm their efforts and their mission. Kelly told the station that while he will obey the agency's advice and refrain from explicitly criticizing Rogozin, it doesn't mean he will remain silent about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He said that he got the email and he did move away from Rogozin. Although he was not required to, he respects NASA, its perspective, and its authority. He continued on while speaking fluent Russian and said that as long as he was alive, he would oppose the war. A bit ominous, we think. Next, Roscosmos threatens the International Space Station. Unsurprisingly, the invasion of Ukraine served as a trigger for the entire episode. Rogozin, who is no stranger to controversy and bizarre behavior, has been tweeting a steady stream of pro-Putin and anti-US propaganda on Twitter to express his feelings. The head of Roscosmos has even threatened to destroy the ISS by letting it fall to Earth. So really, it's hard to blame Kelly, who has traveled to space 4 times and is a former ISS commander himself. That's like someone threatening your own child, so it makes sense why he wants to retaliate. But it's kind of scary to note how things have gotten so out of hand that NASA decided that the only course of action would be to get Kelly to stop. While specialists have the opinion that geopolitical unrest on Earth wouldn't affect cooperation aboard the ISS, perhaps there are more rifts than we anticipated. Finally, how he's supporting the Ukrainian cause. Scott Joseph Kelly, a former captain in the United States Navy and current astronaut, has joined the Ukrainian United 24 fundraising platform. The first initiative he'll work on under the Medical Assistance Directive is obtaining money for Type C ambulances. He spoke with Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, over a Zoom call about his plans for assisting our nation and advancing United 24. The president said he was a great advocate for their country and that it was crucial that well-known people, including entertainers and prominent astronauts, join the platform. He appreciated Kelly's support for the Ukrainian people even before he joined the United 24 Ambassador program, especially on Twitter, and he hoped the astronaut continued to do so by assisting the Ukrainian medical sector. Since the start of the extensive Russian invasion, Scott Kelly has advocated for Ukraine in both words and actions. He has collected $500,000 throughout this period to aid Ukrainians. He also gained international fame for his witty, critical remarks and under the posts of occupation of country officials and propagandists on social media. Scott Kelly has a medical background in addition to such a stellar track record. The new ambassador claimed that this was what drove his desire to raise money for ambulances. He worked in emergency medical services and as an ambulance driver when he was younger, and he witnessed firsthand how prompt medical attention can save people's lives. He later served as a crew medical officer after he had already become an astronaut. Today's Ukrainian doctors are true heroes who perform miracles daily in extremely risky and challenging circumstances, and he said that he believes it is his responsibility to stand with Ukraine as it defends democracy from the Russian attack. In other related news, firstly, Scott Kelly studies UFOs. Do you ever stare up at the sky and begin to consider your position among the stars? We might learn more about that soon. 16 scientists, including a retired U.S. official, Scott Kelly, a Navy captain and astronaut, will work with a NASA team for the next 9 months to investigate unidentified flying objects that the organization has come across. Kelly is notable for having spent 20 years working for NASA in addition to serving as a fighter pilot in the Maritime Service, so he has the leadership and team-building qualities suited to handling a team of aerospace experts with him. Mark Kelly, his identical twin brother, is a current junior senator from Arizona and also a former astronaut. The team of scientists will set the foundation for future investigation using unclassified data, according to a NASA press release. Next up, Russia launches cargo towards the ISS. The International Space Station has been loaded by yet another Russian cargo ship. On October 25th at 8:20 p.m., a Soyuz rocket launched the unmanned Progress 82 freighter toward the International Space Station from the Russia-run Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Almost 3 tons of food, fuel, and other supplies are being transported by Progress 82 for the Expedition 68 crew aboard the orbiting lab. One of the 3 robotic spacecraft that currently transports cargo to the ISS is Progress. The other 2 are privately owned American vehicles, the Cygnus from Northrop Grumman and the Dragon from SpaceX. Finally, Putin clarifies Russian nuclear threat. Despite previous warnings to do so, Russian President Vladimir Putin insisted he had no plans to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. His remarks coincided with the publication of several significant strategic documents by the U.S. Department of Defense. Colin Kahl, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, spoke with Nick Schifrin regarding the statement. The world seems to be at a historical crossroads. The upcoming decade is likely to be the most stressful, uncertain, and significant decade since the end of World War II. President Vladimir Putin claimed Ukraine was preparing a dirty bomb strike on its own soil once more, but he assured Russia did not constitute a nuclear danger. Funny enough, this comment was made right as Russia began its yearly nuclear drills. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin issued a warning to Russia today in Washington, saying that the international community had been quite clear from the start that Russia would face a very serious response if any nuclear threat was sensed. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, what do you think of Scott Kelly beefing with Russia over Twitter? And should NASA have reprimanded him? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. We'll see you in the next one.